In the heart of Manhattan stood an old luxury hotel called the Silver Crown built like a royal palace from another era. And Ethan Carter, an American travel vlogger, checked in to document its vintage charm. At the front desk, a middle-aged receptionist handed him the key to room 309 and quietly warned, "If anything feels strange, ignore it." Ethan laughed it off, thinking it was just part of the hotel's spooky marketing. The room looked perfect with polished wooden furniture, dim golden lights, and a large antique mirror that felt slightly unsettling. Later that night at exactly 1:17 a.m., his phone suddenly turned on by itself and opened the camera. On the screen, he clearly saw a woman standing behind him. But when he turned around, the room was completely empty, leaving him confused and slightly uneasy. The next night, Ethan decided to record everything. As the clock struck 1:17 and the temperature in the room dropped unnaturally, holding his camera, he whispered, "Who's there?" and slowly a figure appeared in front of him. She was a young woman with blonde hair, pale skin, and a white dress. She looked directly into his eyes and softly said, "My name is Emily." There was a deep sadness in her voice that felt disturbingly real. Ethan felt fear, but strangely, he didn't run. Something about her presence felt emotional rather than threatening. He stayed still, watching her as she slowly moved closer. And in that moment, he realized this was not just imagination. The following day, Ethan searched through the hotel's old records, trying to find answers. After hours of digging, he found a report from 1998 about a woman named Emily Dawson, who had been found dead in room 309. The official cause was listed as suicide due to emotional trauma, but handwritten staff notes suggested something far more disturbing. They mentioned that she had been waiting for someone who never returned. And after her death, several guests reported strange sightings and unexplained events in the same room. Ethan felt a chill run down his spine as everything started to connect. This was no urban legend or story for tourists. It was a real incident tied to a real person. And somehow he had become a part of it. That night, Emily appeared again, but this time she seemed calmer and more human. Ethan gathered courage and asked her directly why she was still there. She looked at him with hollow eyes and replied, "Because he never came back." Her voice carried a pain that words couldn't fully express. Ethan felt an unexpected sympathy growing inside him, as if he could understand her loneliness. She moved closer and gently touched his hand. Her touch was ice cold, yet filled with emotion. Instead of pulling away, Ethan stayed, still feeling a strange connection forming. It was as if two lonely souls had found each other across time. And in that moment, fear slowly turned into curiosity and something deeper. Days passed, and Ethan extended his stay in the hotel for reasons he couldn't explain even to himself. Every night, Emily appeared and talked to him as if she were still alive. She shared stories about her past and the fiancé who had abandoned her without a trace. Ethan, in return, spoke about his own life, filled with loneliness and failed relationships. Their conversations grew longer and more personal, creating a bond that felt real despite everything. Sometimes she would sit close to him or rest her head lightly on his shoulder. Ethan began to forget that she was not human. He started to feel comfort in her presence. But deep inside, a quiet fear remained, reminding him that this connection was unnatural. One night, Ethan decided to test something and brought Emily in front of the mirror. But in the reflection, he stood completely alone with no sign of her presence. Emily's expression suddenly changed as her soft face turned cold and her eyes darkened unnaturally. She looked at him and asked in a chilling tone, "Do you doubt me?" Instantly, the lights in the room began to flicker and objects started shaking violently. Ethan felt a wave of fear, realizing how dangerous the situation had become. He quickly responded, "No, I trust you." Trying to calm her down, within seconds, everything returned to normal as if nothing had happened. But Ethan now knew there was a darker side to her existence. The next day, an old janitor noticed Ethan's disturbed expression and decided to tell him the truth about room 309. He warned that anyone who became emotionally attached to Emily never returned to their normal life. Some guests had reportedly lost their sanity, while others had mysteriously disappeared without a trace. Ethan felt a cold realization as he understood he was already deeply involved. That night, he confronted Emily and asked her directly, She didn't deny it and admitted she couldn't bear being alone. She said anyone who loved her had to stay with her forever. Ethan understood then that this was not love but a prison, a trap built from loneliness and desperation. Determined to end the cycle, Ethan began researching ways to free her spirit. He discovered that Emily had never received a proper burial, which kept her soul bound to the room. That night he told Emily about his plan to set her free. Her reaction was immediate panic as she begged him to stop. She said if she was freed, she would lose him forever. The room grew tense as emotions turned into silent conflict. Ethan struggled between his feelings and the reality of the situation. He knew staying meant losing himself completely, and leaving meant losing her. It was a painful decision with no easy outcome. Ethan went to the hotel basement where Emily's remains were kept and began the ritual, using instructions from old records. Candles flickered as the atmosphere turned heavy and suffocating. As soon as the ritual started, Emily appeared violently, trying to stop him. Objects flew across the room as she screamed in desperation. "Don't leave me again," her voice echoed with pain and fear of being alone. Ethan was terrified but continued the ritual with determination. As he completed the final step, a bright flash of light filled the basement. Everything suddenly became silent, and Emily slowly faded away, leaving behind a soft, broken smile. The next morning, room 309 felt completely normal, with no signs of anything unusual. Ethan packed his belongings and prepared to leave the hotel. Before checking out, he decided to review his camera recordings one last time. Among the files, he found a final clip recorded at 1:17 a.m. In the video, he was standing alone in the room, but behind him, Emily was clearly visible, smiling softly. Ethan froze as he realized she had not completely disappeared. Even after leaving the hotel, he sometimes felt a cold touch late at night. And at exactly 1:17 a.m., his phone camera still turned on by itself, as if she was still watching, still waiting.